Everybody, welcome back to the Spurs 9501 podcast. This is Ray in London and we've got Kam in Florida. This is a special show for you. We've sort of taken a break from the shenanigans going at Tottenham with the board and the new manager and blah, 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 all that stuff. We thought we'd take a break and just focus on the Euros for a change. So England's first match is on Sunday against Croatia. And as we have said before in our previous videos, Kam is our Croatian football expert and he's done a lot of research on the team. This is the form. Well, I'm going to go over to Kam now. Kam, you can see the team up on there. Talk us through the formation that you think Croatia are going to play and how it's all going to work.
Thanks for inviting me back, Ray. Happy to be here again. Hello to all our fans. Just wanted to say first that Croatia and England have played 10 times in the past. England have won 5 times. Croatia have won 3 times. And there have been 2 draws. I think the crucial game, probably that breaks all English hearts, is the semi-final at the last World Cup, which England lost against Croatia after going 1-0 up with, everyone probably remember Trippier's goal, I believe.
Yep.
And since then, I mean, this will be the next big competitive game. We have beaten them twice before in the Euros and the European Championships. And we've lost as well, so it's pretty honest, pretty even. A few friendlies in there which really don't count.
Just go. A good team. Croatia are a good team. Yep.
After just to add to that, after the World Cup of the last World Cup in 2016, 2018. Sorry, Croatia got up to world ranking in the 2nd position behind France, thanks to their progress all the way to the final at the expense of England. So they've been pretty good. But the other thing to add to that, they are a bit of an aging team. And you probably see some names on this list that are missing now, which have been part of the golden age, as they say, of Croatian football. So on my list, you don't see any Rakitic, for example, who was one of their biggest players at the last World Cup. Some of the forwards have changed. You haven't got Lovren at the back, who was at Liverpool and probably quite a solid player for Liverpool for a while. And so there's quite a bit of change. If you'd like me to, I can go through some of the key players. A few of these are very well known to us, Ray. Specifically, Livakovic in goal, who you may remember I took a lot of stick from our Dynamo Zagreb fans about.
Dinamo Zagreb, by the way, not
Dinamo Zagreb. Sorry
so
again.
Just gonna ask a quick question, Kam. Is this the lineup you think Croatia are going to go with on Sunday? Obviously, yeah.
I believe that's probably one of their best lineups. I don't really know much about Kaleta Kar and Vida. Vida, I think we've all heard of. Yeah. But at the back, I think is where they are vulnerable. I don't believe that their players at the back are as good quality as some of the ones going forward, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Livakovic obviously was the goalkeeper played against Tottenham in that infamous 2-leg game that we've got thrown out of. And you'll probably remember him pulling off some stunning saves in the 2nd leg. In the 1st leg, he flapped at a lot of chances, let in 2 goals, and we went into the 2nd leg with a 2-0 lead. But he is the number 1 goalkeeper for Croatia. I've already mentioned him. Yeah,
sorry, Kam, I'll just interject so that the fans can get a bit of flow. Where's the match being played?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure.
It's being played at Wembley.
It's
played in Wembley. Yeah, it's playing Wembley.
Sorry.
So basically,
I actually had tickets for the game, but I had to give them up because I couldn't get into England. So I had tickets for this game, and they were being played at Wembley. Sorry, you threw me there. So, go ahead.
So do you think Livakovic might be a bit vulnerable outside of Croatia?
I believe so. I believe with that back 4 that he's got the Kaleta Vida, Vralsko and Barisic. We've got some chances there. Yeah, we've got some chances there.
Go ahead, sorry.
But having said that, let's look at the midfield. You've got Kovacic, who's very well known to English fans, being at Chelsea. He's not had a mixed season, hasn't he? Really, but he seemed to have established himself quite well recently at Chelsea in the last year or two, and does boss the midfield quite well. But Brozovic, on the other side, Inter Milan player, was one of their key players that helped them win the Scudetto in Italy, and is a very, very solid player, and that player will make a big difference in terms of who bosses the game and who bosses the ball. Needless to say, we all know Modric. He is 35 years old. He is getting older. He's the most capped player in Croatia. Well known to Spurs fans, of course, being
He's a legend. He's a Spurs legend.
having learned
Luka
his
Modric,
trade
yeah.
with us. We taught him everything he knows. Uh, but he still can boss a game on his day. No one can touch him,
Yeah,
He's getting
amazing
on a bit,
player.
though. But there's no doubt that as the captain, as the main player for Croatia, this is probably going to be his swan song in terms of Euro 2021. I can't see him maybe making it to the World Cup next year. Yes, definitely. But beyond that, I think that his days are probably in the national team captain numbered. I would say the same for Perisic. I mean, Perisic is down front. He did start off as a left back, I recall, and he's a great player. Had a great game against England. I think he scored in the semi-final against us, but he is getting on a bit. He was at Middle Inter too. Now the other two, you must remember these two: Petkovic and Orsic.
How can I forget Orsic? How can
Yeah.
I forget that guy
You can't.
Orsic, man?
I actually put him in the team. I'm not sure he will start. I put him in simply because of the hat trick that he scored against Spurs. And I can't see why they wouldn't have put him in. I mean, he's probably one of their very dynamic players that you'd want to see go up against England. Petkovic is that big, strong, tall centre forward. Again, a Dinamo Zagreb player, and seems to be the one that leads the line. Good target man for them. Overall, I think that's a pretty strong team. The weakness for me is going to be at the back and at the goalkeeping area. If we can get behind them, if we get behind that midfield, which is not going to be easy, we should be in with a chance.
So how are they actually going to play then? I mean, you put them in a 4-3-3, but is that like, did they change shape during the match? Could they move to like a 4-4-2,
I think that
a 4-2-3-1? I mean, did they change formations during the match?
I think it's going to be a very fluid formation. I think they can change up front. It looks like they do like to go with a very attacking line. I don't see how you can move those. You could probably move Orsic and Perisic back and make it a 4-5-1 with Petkovic being the target man, especially if they go ahead and they need to, defend. They might take Orsic off and put a more defensive-minded midfielder on. And Perisic, as we know, can defend too. He can come backwards, running that line up and down. Will be a handful for anybody. So I think that line is very fluid. I think everything goes through Modric, and that's the player that we really need to try and take out of the game if we're gonna boss the game. I think this is a game about who's going to control possession, who's going to control the ball, and with this lineup, they look very strong.
So are you saying that midfield is going to be whoever wins this match, who has to control the midfield?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to come on to England. I think the back four of England aren't the strongest in the world. I think the back four of Croatia aren't the strongest in the world, but Croatia have got one of the strongest midfields in terms of being able to boss that game, and they can very easily move a couple of players into that midfield to strengthen it.
Okay,
They're a much more fluid team.
Yeah. Other than Petkovic and Orsic, where are the goals coming from for midfield? Do they have any sort of attacking midfielders that could cause problems? Well,
they've got Rebic up there that can come in instead of Orsic. They also have their other player who plays for in Moscow, Vlasic, who's one of their biggest up and coming players, and scored most of the goals. Played the number 10 position for Croatia, runs off Modric and can get a lot of goals. So I think up front they're pretty strong. Midfield up front, very strong team.
Yep. Okay, is there anything else you want to say about Croatia before we move to England?
Well, yeah, I mean, just obviously history, very important. We all know the Croatians now are going to refuse to take the knee at the against racism at the game at Wembley. They've already announced that. They don't believe they have a racism problem. But how can we all forget the abuse that Emil Heskey got in Croatia, so much so that the fans were banned from the stadium of the next game that they played in. They've been banned a couple of times. They've been criticized heavily for their for some of the antics of their fans. They in the Liga, in the Nations Cup, they had to play behind closed doors. Yeah. And it's a bit of an issue. So you can't really go on to talk about them without actually bringing up some of the history between the two of us.
I think it's always the same. You've got a very, very small minority of fans who ruin it for everybody. The vast majority of Croatian fans are, obviously fair people, non-racist at all.
Yeah.
But you always get a small minority that ruin it for everybody, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
let's hope that they can.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Then, yeah, let's hope that's. So shall we move on to England now then?
Yes. Wow. I mean, this has been a really tough one for me, and I'm for sure it's very tough for every single England fan. Obviously, you're going to have your say on this too, Ray.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, the most controversial decision to start off with is to put Henderson in goal.
Well, I'm not sure that is controversial because I don't rate Pickford at all.
I knew you would say that.
No, he's always got a mistake in him. He's very erratic. He takes people down in the box. Blah blah. I'm happy with Henderson being in goal. I think Sam Johnston could have done a good job as well for the West Brom keeper. But I'm happy with Henderson in there.
But every pundit out there says it's going to be Pickford, and I think that Southgate sort of is one of those traditionalists who sticks with the guys, whatever, come what may.
Right,
and it's going to be Pickford. But we need to be if England have any chance of going anywhere in this tournament, we've got to start taking some chances.
Yeah.
And you've got to start right at the back.
Let's start at the back. So we go from left to right. So you've got Chilwell at left back. Mm-hmm. Tell us your thinking around that.
Well, fast up front, done had a good season with Chelsea, can run forward, can cross the ball pretty well. Defensively, might be a bit weak, but I think that he's going to be up there. And you could have put, is it Luke Shaw could have gone in? But I mean, you could change the interchange between the two of them, to be honest with you.
And I don't think anyone. You're definitely going with a 4-4-2, are you, for England?
Yeah, I think so. I think anything different than that is going to make it very difficult.
Okay. Now, interesting, in the centre half position, you got Mings and Cody.
I don't rate Stones. I think that Maguire's injured.
Is he definitely injured? If Maguire's injured, then that's fine. If he's not injured, then he needs to come in there. But
yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. If Maguire's not injured, you can put him in. He's usually very good for England. Stones, I don't rate. He's got too many mistakes in him. And if he hasn't got the cover of Ruben Diaz and the other players at City, he can get very exposed. And I think if you expose him that much like that, England are going to fail. So I put in Mings. I think he's pretty solid where he is. Yeah. But I think Connor Cody's highly underrated. And I think that, if we're going to take some chances, we need to start taking some chances.
Okay, so who's the other option? If we take John Stones out, I agree with you, I think Mings deserves a chance. Who's the other guy you could have put in next to Mings other than Cody? Who are you looking at?
Well, there was Stones, of course.
Is he the only one? Maguire's injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, right back, got Reece James. You could have had Kieran Trippier. Why did you choose James over Trippier? Walker, yeah. Why did you choose James?
I think he's had probably one of the best seasons with Chelsea that anyone at right back in Chelsea had, and probably at this moment it's probably the best right back in England for me. I don't like Chelsea, obviously being a Spurs fan, but you got to give due where it's due, and I wish he was a Spurs player. I think he's a fantastic player. How do you feel about it?
No, I think you're right. I think James is a great player. James and Chilwell, the Chelsea left back that won the Champions League, you can't argue with it really. So I can't argue with that at all. Again, I think Kyle Walker's got a mistake in him. Trippier, I don't know, has got the speed or the defensive ability. Trippier's good going forward, but not that great defending. So I think that's okay. Let's go to the midfield now, and let's start again left to right. So you've got Jude Bellingham out on the left. Talk us through that.
Well, I think he's. I don't really know the player very well. I know he plays for Dortmund. I've seen Dortmund play a few times, and I think he's been very good. But I have watched him in the friendlies against playing for England, and he was quite impressive. I think he's young, fast, lot of pace, good defensive work, and would probably be quite refreshing to have somebody different in there. Again, you could have put a load of players in there. You could have put Phillips in there. Calvin Phillips is a good option to go in there. There were a lot of English players that could have taken that position. Who would you have put?
Interesting. I'll have to have a think about that. I mean, Mason Mount I really like. I think he's a great player. Mason Mount's got a lot. He tracks back. He works forward as well. He's a great player. Bellingham, I'm very impressed with Bellingham. I think it might be a bit too early for him though. He's only young. He's only 17 or 18. But let's look at your other players. So you've got Grealish. I mean, let's talk about Declan Rice. I think he's a great holding midfielder.
Yes. Well, we need somebody like that.
We need Declan Rice, yeah. Exactly. So Declan Rice, definitely. Grealish is,
We could
Go
put
ahead.
if we were going to make it a 4-3-3, then Grealish would be up front. As the formation right now is 4-4-2, he is where he is. But Grealish and playing off Kane, you need to think who's going to give you the creativity.
Yep.
I've got Foden in there too, and that could be Mount or Foden. It could be either one of them. I don't want to get us into a situation where we had before, where you had the whole scenario with Lampard, Gerrard never being able to play properly with each other. And it smacks to me a bit of Foden and Mount. Seem to be very similar players. I don't know if you agree with that. Whether you put both in the team together or not, I am not so sure.
Not sure about that. Foden is a lot more offensive. I'm not sure what his defensive work is like. I mean, is he going to protect James on the right hand side there? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, that is a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure either.
They might target that. I mean, ideally, you want Grealish in there to sit behind Kane and Rashford, just transitioning it from defence, taking the ball and transitioning it into attack. Rice and Grealish. Grealish is a great player. He's got all the creativity. Foden, is that based on his performances for Man City in the Champions League and etc.? He's been exceptional, really, hasn't he?
I mean, I put Foden in. I could have put a lot of different players in. We could have put in Phillips. We could have put in. You could have actually put, as I said, Mount. I put him in because he's had a very good season this year. But his Foden has bottled it in some of the big games. Champions League final, FA Cup final.
The whole team bottled it again in the Champions League.
The
thing I like about Foden, he's got a goal in him. He does score good goals. He can get you a goal. So I'll be happy to have Foden there. I would probably switch Bellingham for Mount if that was me.
Okay.
But, that's fine. And now up front we've got Harry Kane, which is a given, really. Why have you played Rashford instead of somebody like Sterling?
Really good question. I think I feel that the Croatian team at the back look a bit older. They're not necessarily older, but they're not that experienced. And I think Rashford's pace is important. I don't think Kane has got that level of pace. You need someone running off Kane. And I think he'd probably do a better job. I know that Sterling's very fast too, and you can interchange the two. But Sterling's final ball seems to be a bit worse than Rashford. That's my only rationale. And they're both very, very good players. I mean, you could have been Sterling, it could have been Rashford. I chose Rashford for this game just for his sheer pace and power of racing through and running off Kane and Grealish. But so does Sterling. It's just
Sterling's been off it for the last few games. He hasn't scored many goals, so I think Rashford's probably more of an out and out striker. But we've got to get the ball to Grealish so they can feed Kane. If Grealish is starved of the ball, we've got problems, I think.
Big problems. But that's why Foden's there, because you expect Foden to be able to get that ball, Rice to be able to control, help the back four. Because if this back four did play, which let's face it, they probably won't, they are a bit inexperienced together. And so it will be a big risk. I can't see Southgate taking that kind of risk. Can you?
No, I can't do. I think he's probably going to go for a 3-4-3 like he did before. He's going to have three centre-backs.
I just want it to be a bit more different, a bit more adventurous.
That's fine. This is our channel. We can put whatever team we want there. But I think he probably will play John Stones because he likes the way he plays the ball out, can do the transition from defence to midfield to the attack. Stones can come out with the ball, then Rice can drop back into the centre-back's position to cover him, etc. I'm not sure he's gonna put Jude Bellingham in. I think it's a bit too early for him. So I can see Mason Mount in there. But again, how do you get Mount, Grealish and Foden in the same team?
I know, how do you? I mean, and also defend at the same time. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, going back to this match, I mean, obviously this is... who else is in this group? Is it Scotland and somebody else?
Yeah, I had all the tickets. Is it the Czech? We've got Czechs to play yet. We've got three teams. I mean, this is the toughest game.
Yeah,
by far the toughest game.
Who else is in this group? Let me just check.
Yeah, let's just check. I think it is the Czech Republic. You checking?
Yeah, I'm checking now. So it's Croatia, Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. Yeah,
Czech Republic. Yeah, I thought it was.
That's not going to be an easy game either.
I mean, Scotland would always raise their game against England.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we don't beat Scotland, we deserve to win nothing.
So just explain. Do you know how the tournament is going to work? Do you want to go that through with our
as far as I know, it's going to be again the same sort of knockout phase where the first top two teams go into a knockout draw, and it will whittle its way back down to the last 16, 8-4-2 to the winner. So it's basically is groups of four. First two go through. It is an expanded group, so there'll be a lot more teams, but maybe just one extra round. But I believe that the first two go through. 32 teams go to 16, then go into the quarterfinals, semi-finals, then the final.
Okay.
The difference with this tournament is being played over a number of different countries rather than being in just one country.
And England are playing all their matches in England, which is a big
Which
advantage,
is,
isn't it?
I had tickets for all the matches, England matches, group matches, but because of the
Yeah.
coronavirus restrictions and me being in the USA, I had to give them up.
That's a shame, really,
Mm.
isn't it? So,
But
final thoughts on the prediction. I'm going to go for. I think it's going to be really, really tight. And I think neither team will want to lose the first match. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. What are you going for?
having seen England play in the last two friendlies, they've been very, very, very disappointing. But you can't really read much into it. With the strength and depth that England have as a team, and some of those players, don't forget these are team players that have won the Champions League and other stuff, and well, in case of Manchester United, probably should have won the Europa League too. Um, we should be able to shade it against what is an older Croatian team. If we don't, then I don't think we've got much hope in this tournament. So I'm probably going to go for a 1-0.
1-0 to England. Okay.
Yeah.
Any messages for our? I just wanted to give a message to all our Croatian fans, and then we'll talk about the Euros in general. But any messages for Rio Babic or the Realist or Jim? What was that name? Jim
Morrison.
Jim Morrison. All these guys. Any messages for those guys?
Yeah, I'm sure you're very happy that there are three Dinamo Zagreb players in my team. But even if you had 6 Dinamo Zagreb players in our team, England are going to beat you next Sunday. Sorry.
Okay.
What else can I say?
No, what I was going to say, that's great. So thanks very much for that, Cam. This is Ray from Spurs 9501. I'm predicting 1-1. Cam's going to say 1-0 win to England. But I think Croatia and England will both go through from the group. It's just depending to see what order they go in, who wins it and who comes second, I think.
Yes.
So to all our fans, all our Croatian fans, please remember to comment, like and subscribe. We'll try and do some Croatian subtitles as well, if that helps you. If you've got any comments about the lineup that we put up for Croatia, please let us know. And if you disagree with that, let us know. But, we look forward to hearing from you in the comment section. Remember to comment, like and subscribe. And it's goodbye from Ray in London. Cam?
Goodbye from Cam from sunny Florida.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye. We can't say come on you Spurs because it's a Euro one. So come on you England.
Come on, England. Thanks.